Hi, everybody. Welcome to Coach's Playbook with Paul LaPolice, your home for elite CFL breakdown and analysis. I thought at the beginning of the season it'd be important to talk coverage. So when you're watching the TV games, you can say, hey, what was that coverage? What's happened? We've already done a couple playbooks on man coverage. You can go back and watch those. Today, let's talk about one of the zone coverages played in the CFL. Probably not the top zone coverage, but one of the basics that goes in training camp. That's cover three. Three deep defenders, five underneath zone defenders, usually doing what we'll talk about, spot dropping. What strengths, weaknesses of it, we're going to draw it up, put some film on of it to let you know, get you some education about cover three. Before I go, please subscribe to the channel, let you know you like the content we're putting out. Turn your notifications on so you're alerted when we put new stuff up. I'm going to try to do 2 of these a week as I'm watching my film for CFL on TSN. So I'm watching the film anyways. I'll try to do 1 or 2 of these to just keep educating people about the game. Time to open the playbook on cover 3. Three double hold. I've got labeled right here. We'll go over what hold means, but we're talking about 3 deep zone players and 5 underneath zone players. First point I want to make is the term spot drop. So you may hear the term said, this is a spot drop football team. This team spot drops a lot. What does spot drop mean? It means exactly what it says. It means this field halfback is going to run to a spot on the field and play football from there. He's going to recognize the routes that are showing up in his area of responsibility and then play football that way. Sam linebacker, he's dropping to his spot and then reading the routes that show up into his area and making decisions from there. There are some defenses that do not spot drop. A majority don't. A route comes in, you change what you're doing based on what that route did. We'll get into that when we teach matchup man and different things, but this is more you're running to an area of the field and you figure out who I'm going to cover next. Okay, start with the free safety in the dead middle of the field. Well, he's looking at the most dangerous person to him is the innermost receivers to the middle of the field. That's his first area of responsibility. So he's going to drop with depth and try to watch. If both of those players were going right into his area of responsibility, he'd split the difference. And again, I think they would do it more like this. He would split the difference and then try to recover when the ball is in the air. So the free safety is going to watch and see who's threatening his area of the field. What could happen is you could get very easily, all right, I'm watching number 3. Number 3 goes into the flat. Well, number 2 is the guy who ran into the middle of the field. So his head's on a swivel, trying to see where the threat is to the middle of the field. That's his job. Next thing, let's go to the field corner. So the wide side of the field is problematic for the corners because they can be put in a bind. And what does that mean? You can put 2 people in a position that's hard for him to cover. So let's say this happened. Somebody ran up the seam and somebody ran 5 yards from the sideline. I've got some of these areas white because there's not somebody covering. Like you cannot cover both of those spaces. So what does the corner have to do in this world? I'll go over this and I'll tell you how this is prevented. So the corner, as the corner was going to release, if he recognized, let's call the box his responsibility, he would now go, okay, both of those players, as he's dropping back into his zone, he sees both of them going vertical. He's going to shift over to that area of the field. He's going to take that space. Why? Because that's closest to the quarterback. So he's going to cancel that zone as that zone player shows. He'll stay in the difference. He sees the ball thrown, but if anything, he's going to favor inside and force the quarterback to throw the ball way far outside. So he is going to split the difference if he gets 2 verticals into his deep third area as long as he can. And then he'll make a play on the ball. If he favors anything, he favors inside. Now, what should help him is the free safety should be watching. And as long as he has no threat, he can then try to help. All right, he can help late. He's got to stay in his middle of the field. So 2-on-1 is difficult in cover 3. How do you prevent a 2-on-1? is by this field halfback. All right, and I'll get rid of his area or zone responsibility first. Remember, Canadian Football League field halfbacks, they cannot jam past 5 yards. So I've got them standing at 5 yards. I've got this right here. What that means is his job is, as a receiver is going through the line of scrimmage, if he's the low player, his job is to collision that receiver. Do not allow a free release. Do not allow him to run right, that receiver, the W, to run right through the field and put the corner on a bind. He would love to jam that receiver and not allow him to work upfield. That way the corner does not feel that threat, and the guy would show up eventually through that zone, and the corner is not in a 2-on-1. So he's trying to collision or hold up the vertical of number 2. That's why that's drawn that way. He's trying to collision so the corner is not put on a 2-on-1. All right, that's the field halfback and the field corner, what they need to do to help out on cover 3. Let's go to the boundary. Over here, it is the exact same rules, same thing. The difference is there's less space. So it's a little bit easier for this corner. So let's put the same scenario. 2 verticals. Guy running 5 yards from the sideline in there. And this receiver releasing and going somewhere 3 yards inside the numbers. Let's put him up there, 3 yards inside the numbers. So free safety will not get to that space. He'll get there late, not his area of responsibility. It's a little bit of a hole. Both of these spots are holes in cover 3. And that's why you are trying to jam the receivers that could get a vertical release to that area. So this corner is going to favor the inside area. So he would be on his release as he's dropping back into his zone. This is what I mean about watching routes. He's going to be looking and seeing both of them go vertical. And if he has to, he will favor the inside one because that's the easier throw for the quarterback. And then hopefully the free safety in the corner can squeeze this white box or opening and make sure there's not a lot of room. Or if he catches it, they deliver a shot. Okay? To prevent the 2-on-1, it's the halfback's job. He should be jamming. So he should be attacking. As that player goes to run, he wants to collision him to not allow him to force a 2-on-1. Jam him at the line of scrimmage at 5 yards, and then you work to your zone. Collision, and then work to your area of responsibility. That can help the corners. So these halfbacks are going to jam the vertical and then go out to their areas of responsibility. Okay? That's how you try to prevent a 2-on-1 on a field corner or a boundary corner in cover 3. All right, now, underneath coverage, guys. What do? Let's start with the field half. I already deleted what he was doing. They're both jam players. They jam. If the receiver is going vertical at them, they're going to go get a collision. Anything else, all right, they are curl to flat players. And what does a curl flat mean? And again, these are defined in everybody's playbook. These are the areas on the field. The curl is he's running up into the curl area. He's making sure that this player doesn't run a curl. But most teams are going to run somebody in the flat when they run a curl. So how does he handle that? He is going to run with depth, and he's going to stay on the curl because it's the deepest route as long as he can, and then he will work down to the flat. So go through the curl, stay in the curl, force the quarterback to throw it all the way out here. The ball's going to be in the air too long. You rally down and make the tackle for a 2-yard gain. That is called a curl flat player. So he's going to work for depth through the curl and then work to the flat. He won't immediately go this way. Players that do open up the curl, easy completions. So that's what a field halfback is, a curl to flat player. The Sam linebacker or strong side linebacker, he is what's called hook to curl, because this is the area where people would run a hook. So he is going to run through this hook area, making sure the number 3 receiver wasn't running a hook right there. And then he's going to go take away the curl from number 2 in case. Let me draw a curl here. There is a curl at that spot. Now the Sam linebacker is going to hang on the hook because that's closest. No hook player. He's going to run now, try to get underneath that curl. So that's his area of responsibility, a hook to curl. The middle linebacker, he's a hook player. Depending on the coverage into the boundary, he may always open field. Sometimes he's tied into where the back is. And the will linebacker is a hook player. So he's watching for number 2 to run a hook. He's going to run to a spot on the field where he can recognize that. And the boundary halfback is a curl. He's running to the curl of the X. Make sure he can't get that ball. And if nobody in the curl, then he will become a flat player. So same thing for the boundary halfback. He's running to the curl, but he's got the eventual flats. Both of these halfbacks have got to collision, as we said, any vertical routes. So that's basically how you spot drop on the field, and you kind of recognize the routes that are coming. And you make a decision. I want to cover the deepest route, especially to the wide side of the field. This is still a form of 3 deep, but there's a different tag now. 3 hold, cut. It's still a hold over here. Remember, the field halfback is holding up the release of the vertical, but now they've cut to the boundary. This is a term used in the CFL. You hear it in the NFL called cloud. The corner is now the low player, and the halfback is a deep third player. So you still have 3 deep, but you have a cut corner, which is a low player. So I don't have to talk about anything over to this side of the field. It's exactly the same. The only difference is the back side of the play, into the boundary. Now the boundary halfback in the cadence will become the player at 12 to 15 yards. He'll work into the deep third. And now the corner is going to, 1, jam and not allow 2 verticals on the boundary halfback. But teams play with a lot of corners this way because they can do a little bit more because he has vision of the routes. And what I mean by that is he's got the ability to do what is written there called cut and carry. Let's put a guy into the boundary halfback's third. Let's put a guy on the edge of his area of responsibility. So you got 2 people running on that boundary halfback. Well, how do you help that? The corner is called a cut and carry corner. So he's going to recognize that number 2 is running deep. As he sees number 2 running deep, he is going to keep sinking because he does not want the boundary halfback to be on a 2-on-1. What does that mean? 2 receivers on 1 DB. So he's going to carry this until he sees this inside route going out into the flat. So if it went just like this, 2 verticals, he would just keep sinking the whole time. Now you take away, you carry the route to help the corner. That's called, you're going to cut, jam, but if both go vertical, he'll stay vertical. If the inside receiver went out, he would take his flat responsibility. Say he went out there, well, the corner knows, okay, I can take this route. I'm going to carry this guy and I'm going to collision, but then I'm going to take this route because I know there's only 1 person affecting over there. So now the boundary half can go cover that area, if that makes sense. So he's going to sink watching the inside receiver. He is a deep, he helps in the deep third when possible. And that's the reason teams like to play that. What's the difference? The will has really got to cover. He's got to really push. He's the hook player. Technically, the corner's now the curl flat player. He's the curl flat player. And the MAC is going to be based, if the back released this way, he would release that way. The MAC released, the back went the other way, he's usually tied to the back. Okay, that is 3 hold cut. Let's go to one other picture, double cut. The exact same thing, both sides. Now a team is using the field halfback and the boundary halfback as the high third players, and the corners are low players. The weakness is you're telling this Sam linebacker you got a long way to go and you got two receivers here. So what happens in some of these pictures of double cut with a four-man rush, there's a little bit of space to the wide side of the field. So that's the hole. The hole right here is put a guy here on a curl. Put a guy here on a 8-yard curl. You're trying to get the Sam in a difficult spot, trying to run through the Sam and force him to stay. Go over cut and carry to the field, no different. He goes deep. He goes deep. The corner is going to recognize that as he's got his depth. He's reading the route of the inside player, and he will sink until somebody threatens his flat area responsibility. What would that look like? It would just look like this. It would look like this receiver going deep, and then he goes out in the flat. The corner, for the time that that guy goes vertical, he's going to stay vertical. He sees him break out. He will now take that out route. Free safety will move over here, or sorry, field halfback will move over there. And hopefully if the ball's thrown to this player in the flat, the corner can break it up, get in front of it, and make the play. Same thing in the boundary. They're going to cut and carry. All right, that's called double cut. They've cut both corners. So you can see what a cover three looks like, full speed. Then we'll kind of break it down a little bit and go. People in the deep. This corner started falling in to protect the seam. This corner started falling in to protect the seam, and there's our deep third player. Again, remember, they want to protect those plays first and react outside if the ball's thrown outside, because it takes more time. So you can see that picture there. Well, that's those guys falling in cover three. Down below, we collision to help out that vertical from getting there, and then he goes from curl to the flat. This is a hook collision, and then go to the hook to curl. Hook, hook, collision, curl, flat. So good picture of them expanding, and you can see it full speed. Forcing a check down. Next one. Play at full speed. Deep third player, middle player, deep third player. Now, interesting on this clip, the quarterback gets his eyes looking to the right. Watch what it does to the safety. So I'm going to pause it. That safety really went with the quarterback's eyes. There is a huge seam right here that this corner is in trouble. They're making him cover more than a third of the field. And that's why he falls in when you watch this picture up top. That's why he's falling in so far. All right. Now, I talked about the halfbacks collisioning and of preventing people from running down the seams. That doesn't happen because these guys blitzed and dropped down. They cannot collision if they're deeper than 5 yards. So they're just showing presence. So that's why you get a free release. This could be a problem if that receiver went right there and that receiver went right there. Because there would be a 2-on-1 and he would have to fight in, and you could throw this ball all day. Once again, the double hold forces a check down. Let's go to another double hold, and then we'll get to double cut. So what do you do when people play cover three? And when you know that player's running into that area, that's the collision player, and he's going to collision before he expands. That's the collision player and working out. He's going to go here. He's going to go here. All right, you got a pressure here, one of the linebackers, so they're rushing one less player, which you call a void. So quarterback knows this, throws the ball on the outside because that player is collisioning and he's not going to expand and pass him up. He's going to force the quarterback to throw to the widest side of the field. That's what the quarterback, he sees it's cover 3, knows that's the void that the defense is giving up, making you throw that ball all the way across the field. They're going to rally up and make the tackle. So those are 3 clips of double hold. Let's take a look at a couple double cuts. Remember, 3 double cut. Hold meant the halfbacks were low. Cut means the corners are low. So there's the low corner. There's the low corner. There's the halfback in the third. There's the free safety in the third. There's the halfback in the third. Nice easy picture. Everybody's running underneath their zones. Let's review this. Sam, he's going to go to hook to curl. He's going to go to hook. He's going to go hook to curl. Decent job of it. Now, watch to the top of the screen. He's going vertical and he's going vertical. This, remember we said a cut and carry corner. See, that corner is going to keep backing up until he sees somebody go into his area of responsibility. That's called a cut and carry corner. So, once again, this coverage forces the quarterback to throw a check down. Double cut. 3 double cut. Couple more. Corners, the flat player. Halfback's the third player. Free safety. Halfback. Flat player. They're trying to run a hook in the middle of the field and a guy out in the flat. Sam should be pushing to it. These guys should all push. The Sam gets caught. He gets inside. He should have been pushing to this player. So there is a space, but the quarterback may be concerned about that corner. And again, the corner will sink and he'll rally up to make that tackle. Quarterback doesn't trust that they've expanded too far. He recognizes that this player is pushing to the hook, so he goes back to his checkdowns. So a double cut picture for you. Let's get another double cut, the third one. Give you a good example of the low players. Halfback's high, free safety's high. There's your cover 3. Cut means he's a low player. He's a low player. But as he sees that player go down and that player deep, he knows, oh, I can stay low because there's only one on the deep player. If that player went vertical, he would have continued to sink and cut and carry. But he sees him as a low player. He stops. I've got the flats. Same thing here. I stop. I've got the flats. And the deep people stay on the deep people. So again, both these coverages try to have, let me count them up. All right. 1, 2, 3 underneath, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 underneath players. Whether it's hold or cut, you're going to try to have 5 underneath with 3 deep when you rush 4. So that is a good demonstration of cover 3 forms in the CFL.